Hello everybody, my name is Anish Gupta and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast, bringing you the cold hard truth on everything football. Now in today's video, we are back with another tier list ranking, this time for the running backs. We did one last year, but we got to update them as usual. I think we did quarterbacks and receivers already, so this time we got to get into some running backs. Now quick disclaimer, this list will not include rookies. I also think it's just a little bit too early to rank them. But remember, if videos like these interest you, please consider liking and subscribing down below. It only takes a couple seconds of your time and we truly appreciate it. And while you're down there, feel free to turn on the post notification bell so you won't miss out on football content like this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here are my tier list rankings for the 2022 NFL running backs. Alright, so here is the running back tier ranking. So I got an S tier, an A tier, a B tier, a C tier, and a D tier. Obviously, you can kind of get the gist of it. S is, the elite of the elite. A is really good, on the cusp of it. B is kind of, still pretty good above average. C is average, and then D is just, they're kind of irrelevant or below average. And then there's an unknown category. We got to give it to some of these young running backs that we just haven't seen enough of. So we're going to start it off. I think these running backs are organized in alphabetical order by first name. So we got the two Packers guys here. We're going to start off with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is going to go in A tier. I think he's an ultra-productive back, especially out the backfield. He's been very productive for the Green Bay Packers the last 2-3 years, especially Matt LaFleur's offense. And he's been a great complementary piece to Aaron Rodgers. So you got to put him in A tier. I wouldn't put him in S. I think he's obviously a top 10 running back, even in fantasy and in real life. So we're going to put him in A tier. A.J. Dillon, it's weird because in terms of, I guess, overall production, you would put him in C. So I guess I'm going to keep him here for now. I could also put him in unknown just because we haven't seen him as a true workhorse back, and he's got the potential to be, up in that A tier with Aaron Jones. But I think A.J. Dillon's going to go in C tier for now. I might move him up to B, but in the touches he's given, he's really, really productive. He's a strong, situational back that can easily get 4 or 5 yards on first down. And I think, now with Aaron Rodgers not really having as many weapons, they're definitely going to implement a power run scheme with Jones and Dillon, this 1-2-headed monster in the backfield. Alvin Kamara is going to go in S. I think he is a step above Aaron Jones and a lot of these running backs, and I'm going to put in A. Since he's come into the league, third-round pick in 2017 out of Tennessee, he's been super productive. He made the most of his touches every single year. He's just so elusive, great pass catcher, and I think he's going to be a great security blanket for Jameis Winston this upcoming season. Antonio Gibson, he's on the cusp of A, but I'm going to put him at the heart of B tier right now. Again, we've seen the same thing, a lot of promise. He's had a 10-touchdown campaign. We just need to see him get consistent with it. I know he had a shin injury that kind of hampered him throughout the early season, but towards the end of the year, he kind of got things going, and I'm really hoping he can kind of elevate his game kind of in his third year. This is a big one for him, and, obviously he's looking for a contract, so I think this is really the year for him to step it up for the Washington Commanders. Austin Eckler is definitely going in that A tier. I don't think he's an S tier running back just yet. I think in terms of running the football, he lacks, I guess, that downfield power and downfield athleticism. But in terms of receiving and true hybrid backs, he's up there with Kamara. I think he's one of two running backs with 20 touchdowns last year. He's at the heart of A tier. I'm going to rank him above Aaron Jones if I can put him right there. I think he's just outside kind of that top 5, but if you don't have him in your top 10, I don't really know what you're doing. He is a really, really good running back for the LA Chargers. Okay, I believe this is Cam Akers. I want to put him in B, but I'm going to put him in C tier just because I think that Achilles injury really did him dirty. And when we saw him in the playoffs, he wasn't really the same running back. You obviously saw him struggle a little bit. He had a couple fumbles, especially in that Tampa Bay game. I think he had 2 fumbles in that game. So really, I'm hoping he can kind of bounce back. Again, I don't really think he rushed the Achilles injury comeback, but to come back in like 7 months off a torn Achilles is really, really something special. So let's see how they kind of incorporate him next year, because I know they've kind of got this monster down there with Darrell Henderson kind of in the fold. So we'll see how the Rams kind of utilize their running backs. But yeah, Cam Akers is going to go in that C tier, but I would definitely rank him above A.J. Dillon. Chase Edmonds, same kind of thing, in this kind of area right here, because again, same thing. When he gets the touches, he's pretty good. I just don't think he's a workhorse back. I think he's a really good, elusive pass catcher. And I think for the Dolphins, he's going to be a little bit of that because, they have Raheem Mostert down there. I think, yeah, he's going to go in C tier for now. I just don't really see him pop off and explode as a true number one running back. So we're going to put him in C tier. Chris Carson's an interesting one. I could put him in C, but I'm going to put him in B just because we've seen him go for 1,000+ yards. And for the Seahawks, he's been pretty productive. I believe he was a 7th round pick, and he's really made do in the touches he's been given. So we're going to put him in the B tier. I think the Seahawks found a gem in him in the 7th round. Christian McCaffrey, as much as you guys want to talk about it, he is still an S tier, and I know he's been pretty injury prone the last 2 years, but when he plays, he is a extremely talented player. I think he's one of the 20-25 best players when he plays. He is so good after the catch. He is so good in between the tackles. He's so good along the sidelines. There's really no weakness in Christian McCaffrey's game except the injury. I mean, he's just utilized so much, and you could see it with the Panthers. When they went 3-0 with him, and he was injured, their yards per play dipped by 4 yards. Like, that is crazy. It went from like 6.4 to like 2.9 or something like that. So Christian McCaffrey, 100% an S tier. I don't think anybody should be debating that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm going to put in B tier as well. And I know he's kind of disappointed some of the fantasy, my fantasy studs out there. Everybody thought he was going to go crazy after that week 1 game against the Texans his rookie year. And honestly, I think he's getting a little overhated. I think it's just because the expectations were so high for him. That's why people have been disappointed. But he's a great pass catcher. He's great in the red zone. I think he's a B tier running back, and he's going to be a good starter for the Chiefs. Cordell Patterson, I don't know if he's worth... It's really tough. He's had one really good year, okay? Like, if we're going based off this year, he was definitely an A tier, but I'm going to put him at the heart of B tier for now, just because I want to see if he can keep it going. Because this year was kind of a bit of a fluky year, right? The Falcons were down a lot of games, so he was utilizing the passing game. He was great in between the tackles, for a guy who played receiver and kick returner. He's so versatile. He's kind of like a poor man's Debo, but obviously a little bit older. So I'm going to put him in B tier. I think he was really good for the Falcons, and I'm really excited to see what he can do this next year. A second year in the similar type of role with Arthur Smith. Quick disclaimer, especially with Marcus Mariota. I think that's a really dynamic backfield. Dalvin Cook's going to go in that S tier. Not much to say. He's been getting some reps at slot receiver, so I'm interested to see how they would do that, just because, is KJ Osborne kind of disappointing? Because they use a lot of trips and bunch formations, so maybe Dalvin Cook's going to be either on the outside or in the trips. But yeah, he's a really good pass catcher. My only problem with him is that he can be a little bit inefficient on the carries he gets. For example, like in 2020, he literally finished the final 7 games under 4 yards a carry. But again, he's a really talented guy, great running back, and there's a reason why I put him in S tier. I think really not much of a debate. Damian Harris is going to go in B tier with these guys. There's so much to like about him, especially with the Pats. He was kind of their first second down running back, and there were some plays where you would just go, what the hell? Like, this guy is really good, especially that run against the Jets. I don't know if you guys remember what I'm talking about, but he broke like 8 tackles on his way to the end zone. So I love that kind of 1-2 punch they have with him and Ramondre Stevenson. So I'm going to put Damian Harris in that B tier, but I think he's kind of behind Gibson and Cordero Patterson. I don't want to really, disrespect those guys, but I think they are kind of in that same level, just because they all have potential, but we also just need to see a little bit more. DeAndre Swift, I don't know if he's, I feel like after next year, he'll be in this A tier. I don't know whether to put him. I'm going to put him in B tier for now. I think he's got all the tools and potential to be in that A tier next year. I'm going to relook at this list towards the end, but yeah, DeAndre Swift's got some of the most potential out of all these running backs. I've seen a lot of people say he's going to be, a fantasy league winner this year, and I completely agree with a lot of that. He's so elusive out the backfield. And I think the Lions, especially with how their offense is structured, I think he's going to receive a lot of quick passes, screens, and he's that type of guy that can take, a 5-yard pass and turn it into an 80-yard touchdown. He's that elusive out the backfield. So he's going to be in the B tier right now, but I'm going to relook at this list and maybe see if he can go in A tier. Darrell Henderson is going to go in C tier. If I got to put Cam Akers here, I got to put Darrell Henderson in here. He's had his flashes, right, with the touches he's had. I think he's a volume running back. He really needs carries to make an impact on a game. So we're going to put him in C tier for now. But yeah, because I've seen some promise in the previous years. This one really pains me, and it's going to be David Johnson in the D tier. He's just not It really sucks, but he's just not really relevant anymore. I don't think he can make an impact on a team. And we all remember, for all of my kind of older NFL fans out there who were really there during that 2015 and 2016 NFL seasons, this guy was the best running back. I don't even think it's that close, and I think his 2016 season was one of the best running back seasons I have ever seen. Just please watch the tape again. He was so electric. He was so good out the backfield, both running in between the tackles. He was the Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey. For all my younger fans out there, he was so good, and it just sucks because he's obviously up there in age. A couple injuries did him dirty, and with the expectations he had after the DeAndre Hopkins trade, he just really didn't deliver. So he's going to be in D tier, and it really hurts, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to put Montgomery in B. I'm going to put him in A because I think he's had more than 1 year of really solid production. And I think the Bears gotta love him going forward. And I think if I'm putting Montgomery there, I'm gonna put Swift up. I think, yeah, for now I'm gonna move Swift up as well, just because I think those two running backs are really, really good, and I think Swift even has more potential than David Montgomery. So yeah, I'm gonna move those guys. All right, there's really no debate here. Derrick Henry is no question in the S tier, and I remember so many people when I told people back in 2018, the end of the season, this guy had 600 yards in the final 4 games, and there were questions on whether he could carry it over into 2019 because he was benched early in 2018 for Dion Lewis, and I said, it's not about how you start the year, it's how you finish, and he has taken off since then. These last 3 years, he has been the consensus, I think, number 1 back in football. The 2,000 yards a year ago, he was on pace for it this year had he, not got hurt, and he's, I think, a really big favorite for comeback player of the year. Devin Singletary, C tier. He's not a guy that's going to change the game. He's had a couple good moments, but mainly just inconsistent. So he's going to go in C tier for me. I just don't think he's worthy of, really true upper tier starting caliber running backs. Devontae Freeman, same thing with David Johnson, man. For all my older fans, like 2015 and 2016, this guy led the league in touchdowns in 2015. He was so potent with Tevin Coleman in that Falcons offense that made the playoffs in 2016 and 2017. And I think he had a groin injury in 2018 that really cut his season short. So it really sucks. He hasn't been the same since then. He's got a couple of touches with the Ravens, but not enough to be a true guy in the rotation. I think once JK and Gus comes back, he's going to kind of be out of it. So yeah, it's D tier, and it really sucks. Like these guys, if this was a list in 2016, these guys would literally be in A tier. It sucks now that, they're kind of in D tier. Dante Foreman, same kind of thing. I just don't think he's going to be relevant once Derrick Henry comes back. He had promise. So I guess just because of that, I'll put him in C tier because he had some good moments throughout the end of the regular season. But I don't know. I wouldn't put him, anything higher than that. When I probably shake up this listing, and I might move him back down. But yeah, Dante Foreman, he tried to replace Derrick Henry. He had a couple good games. Some were just, disappointing. Elijah Mitchell. This one's tough. I think he's got the potential to literally be up in A. I'm going to put him in C. I'm going to put him in unknown. I think he had a really good year last year, right? But I don't really know if I can put him in B or C tier yet because there were some games, right? He didn't really get to play all of the year last year. But when I explain it, here's what I'll say. I think he had games where he was a B tier running back. I'm just going to put him in unknown because we don't really know the whole gist of it. And now with Mostert gone, he's really going to get a lot of the touches next year. And that's when we'll get a really good picture of what he is. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm going to still put him in B. Okay. He still had some promise. I can't put him in the same tier as, these guys, but I can't put him in the same tier that he used to be in the A. I think he's right in B tier. He's still a good running back. I'm really hoping for the best from him. Obviously, as growing up as an Ohio State fan, he was my favorite player back for Ohio State when we won the national championship. So it really sucks to see a little bit of a decline. But hey, don't be fooled. When he's on, he can still be productive. Gus Edwards, I'm going to put him in C. I just don't think he's going to be the number one running back for the Ravens when they come back, but he will be used. Like, I think the Ravens are such a power run offense with Greg Roman, so he will be used. I just don't think he's going to garner B or A tier status. James Conner. I think this is a bit of last year and going into this year, but yes, he's going into A. And I know you guys are thinking, okay, why is Patterson in B and why is Conner in A? Well, Conner had a boatload of rushing touchdowns last year, and believe me, I had him in fantasy. I took him with the late round picks, and I'm so glad I did. He was so good in the red zone. He was actually pretty good as a pass catcher too when Chase Edmonds got hurt. And now that Chase Edmonds is gone, I think the offense is entirely his. And that backfield with him and Kyler Murray was pretty dangerous. So he's going in A tier. James Robinson. I just wouldn't take him over any of the guys in A tier right now. I would not. So that's why he's going in B tier. And it's also a little bit of ATN coming back. This is, again, a list of what they've done previously and what I kind of anticipate from next year. So he's going to be at the heart of B tier. Don't get me wrong. He's a great running back, just a little bit inconsistent. James White. Oh my gosh. James White's going in C. And for those of you who don't know, in 2019, I had my fantasy playoffs on the line, and James White got -1 points the week before. And against the Texans, he turns out to get 27 points in standard format, and I lost. So I've always had a little bit of a negative energy towards James White, but nonetheless, I think he's average. I believe he had a family emergency last year. I forget what it was, but yeah, no hate towards him. I think he's a C tier running back. I just don't think he's going to get the same touches as he once did in Tom Brady's offense. I think Tom Brady really utilized him the most just because of how electric he was out the backfield. And if we're being honest, he was in contention for Super Bowl MVP when they beat the Falcons. I think he had the Super Bowl record for catches. So, good running back. I just don't think he'll have the same usage now. He's getting up there in age. This is Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is going to go in B tier. Again, this is a little bit of his potential with the Broncos. We saw so much of, how electric he can be last year in his rookie season. So I could put him in unknown, like Elijah Mitchell. But I think with the production we saw last year, I'm just anticipating a really big year from him. And for Elijah Mitchell, it's not even a downgrade on him. It's just I think he can assert himself into A tier. But Javonte is already starting off as a B tier running back. J.D. McKissic, he's not a D tier. He's a C tier. Again, good pass catcher. I believe he turned down Buffalo for Washington, which I'm really mad about. I thought he would have been a great fit with Josh Allen. But hey, he's going to help out my boy Carson Wentz. So going to have a little bit of a 1-2 combo with Antonio Gibson. He'll definitely be their third down running back. But yeah, going in C tier. J.K. Dobbins is definitely going in B tier. I know he tore his ACL, but the promise he showed his rookie year was crazy. And I think, oh my God, his third year with that Ravens run offense, especially because they don't really have big-time weapons on the receiving end, he's going to go crazy with Lamar Jackson. So definitely going in B tier. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he makes it at the top of A tier next year. But yeah, he's going in B tier for now. Joe Mixon is definitely in A tier. I think he silenced a lot of haters last year, especially in fantasy football, because everybody thought he's so inconsistent. He's that one guy you just have to take in the second round, but will do you dirty. He had an amazing year last year, and I think it's only going to get better. His offensive line got better. I think the Bengals will be up in a lot more games, so he'll kind of run the clock out. So Joe Mixon. And no more Giovanni Bernard to take his touches. I know that was a problem throughout kind of his first, 3-4 years. This guy, Jonathan Taylor, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Definitely an S tier. He was by far the best running back last year. The Colts literally did not win a game when he didn't rush for 100 yards. I think that speaks volumes to how good he is, especially with that, COVID-ravaged O-line the first 3 weeks. He was still pretty productive. And let's not forget, he really didn't get the same amount of touches the first 3 weeks. So he was really, really good once the Colts realized, hey, he's a pretty damn good running back. So yeah, he's an S tier. I think he's easily in your top 3. Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Josh Jacobs is interesting. He's going to go in the back of B tier because I think he is better than the C tier guys, but I don't think he's better than most of the B tier. I think he's right at the cusp. So yeah, I think he's a B tier running back. Not really an insult for Josh Jacobs. I don't think the Raiders picked up his 5th-year option, which is really interesting to see. So this is kind of like a prove-it year for him. But yeah, not really else much to say. Kareem Hunt is really interesting. I don't know how the offense is going to be with Deshaun Watson, how much usage he was, because in 2020 he was really utilized. So I'm going to put him in unknown just because I don't know how our offense will be now with Deshaun Watson. Because in 2020 he was on pace for over 1,000 yards, and I could easily put him in B tier because of his talent and stuff. But I'm going to put him in unknown just because I don't know how our offense will kind of utilize him. Will it be like 2020? Or will it be like kind of 2021 where he was kind of hurt? So I think it's just unknown for now. But yeah, in terms of talent, he's definitely B tier. But yeah, just a little bit of an unknown for how we're going to utilize him next year. Kenyon Drake is D tier. I just don't think he can make a considerable impact in the league anymore. He had his moments with the Raiders. He had his moments with the Dolphins. Just don't really think he's a starting caliber back anymore. Same thing with Latavius Murray. Moments in New Orleans. He had some shining moments in Baltimore. Even with the Raiders. Again, don't really think he's going to make a big impact next year. Playoff Lenny. B tier. Definitely in B tier. He's really good. I mean, you saw... Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep him in B tier for now. I mean, he could move up in the A tier, but yeah, obviously that playoff run was crazy. Even last year, he had some really, really good games. And he actually had surprisingly a lot of receiving touches. You don't really expect that from him. He was like a true power back with Jacksonville and at LSU, but yeah, so I think he's at B tier for now. I might move him at A tier towards the end of the list, but I'll see. Mark Ingram, C tier. This isn't 2019 where I can move him in B. I don't really know how he's going to do. So I think he's in C tier just because I think he's still a step above these four guys. But yeah, C tier. Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack is going to go in D tier. I believe he signed. I can't remember where he signed, but it's like he's too injury prone, right? So until you can show me something, I got to put you here, right? I can't, like that. I feel like that's a fair assumption. Melvin Gordon. I feel like he's just better than everybody in the C tier. So I'm gonna put him in the back of B. I would still take Josh Jacobs over him, but like I can't ignore what he's done off some of his touches. But I just think Javonte Williams has more potential, and that holdout really didn't do him favors when he held out with the Chargers. We saw how Austin Eckler flourished. So yeah, Melvin Gordon's gonna go in there. Michael Carter, I can put him in C based on his production, but I'm going to put him in unknown just because I don't know how he's going to be with Breece Hall. So, yeah, Michael Carter is going to be an unknown. I think that's a fair place to put him. Obviously, he's not on the level as Kareem Hunt or Elijah Mitchell. I just don't know how he's going to be used with Breece Hall. I need to see it first. Mike Davis is going in D. I remember everybody trying to tell me that he was going to be a fantasy league winner. And I'm not even going to lie. I told people to take a late round flyer on him just because you never know, right? Falcons, he was supposed to be the number one back. I drafted both Davis and Patterson, so I'm glad I took a flyer on both. But yeah, Davis just wasn't efficient. Didn't really make do on the carries. And I saw all the, negative criticism he got. I felt really bad. He's a good person, but yeah, just not a good running back. Miles Sanders, if he could just stay healthy, he would be in this B tier. I'm going to put him at the height of C tier just because he didn't really score a touchdown last year, and I don't really know how much of that is on him or on Nick Sirianni just utilizing so many of the running backs. But yeah, I think he's kind of right there. Myles Gaskin. Gaskin's also gonna go in C tier, I think, just because he heavily disappointed. Like, there were so many expectations going into him last year as like a true, maybe underrated league winner. But he really kind of disappointed. There were some weeks he had like a really good week. I forget who it was, but he was so good out the backfield towards the end of 2020. He just didn't really follow that up. So he's gonna go in C tier. Najee Harris. This is a little bit of anticipating, but yeah, A tier. I think the Steelers are going to use him a lot. He led all rookies with catches, which is crazy to me. Or all rookie running backs in catches. I think Jalen Waddle had him beat by a little bit, but yeah, Najee Harris is going to be a stud for the Steelers. Great pick. There's my guy, Nick Chubb. No question about it. An S tier running back. I think he's the best pure runner in the NFL. Now, what I mean by that is, I think, in between the tackles, downfield, I guess expected yards per carry, he is the best. He had over 10 yards per carry in the fourth quarter, which is crazy. You're supposed to be worn down as a running back in the fourth quarter. He elevates, so definitely an S tier running back. Phillip Lindsay, I just don't think he's going to make an impact anymore. And that really sucks to say, but like, what has he done? He needs to show me something. I believe the Colts signed him. And it really sucks because he's the only running back to never fumble in his first 700 touches or something. Or not 700, or yeah, I think it's 700 touches. I can't remember. He has a lot of touches and he's never fumbled. So, you know what? Just for that, I'm going to move him in the back of C tier. But yeah, he's got to show me something. Raheem Mostert, when he plays, is a B tier. But I'm going to put him also an unknown because he hasn't played in a year, and how are the Dolphins going to use him with Chase Edmonds, right? Because he has the potential to be a B tier, but if he disappoints, then I got to move him down to C. So he's also this unknown. I think he's so good for Mike McDaniel's offense. Like, if I really wanted to, I could put him in B, but he also hasn't played in a year, so I got to wait on him. And I hope he's the same speed and the same caliber as he was towards the end of 2020 with the Niners, because if he is, that Dolphins offense with Tua, Raheem Mostert, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle in a spread offense is so good because it's not really based on down the field throwing. So he's going to go in the unknown. Rashad Penny, C tier, showed some promise last year. Let's hope he can build on it. He was kind of a bust coming into this year, but he showed some promise, so let's see if he can build on that. Rojo, Jack's going to hate me for this, but D tier. I just don't think he has the promise that everybody kind of expected from him. Lenny really took over the Bucs running back depth chart. So, yeah, he's going to go in D tier. Saquon Barkley. I got to put him in B. You've got to show me something, right? Obviously, talent-wise, you got to put him in A, but you just got to show me something. Show me something this year. This is really your prove-it year. So hopefully he can still be the same guy he was the first 2 years in the league, but he just really hasn't shown anything yet. But obviously I got to respect his talent, so he's going to B tier. Sony Michel, I got to put all three Rams running backs in the C tier. None of them really popped off and showed consistent level to be the true workhorse for LA. So yeah, he's going in C tier. Tony Pollard is a really interesting one because in the touches he had, he was kind of better than Zeke, and he has a lot of potential. I don't know. I can put him in unknown just because I don't know if he's in a B or C tier. Because as a running back, really, he was kind of better than Zeke. It's just I need to see more of him being utilized. So I'm going to put him in unknown. I just don't know what he's going to be next year with the Cowboys offense. He could be in that B, he could be in that C tier. Just a little bit unknown with him. And then same thing with Travis Etienne. He's going to go in unknown. I don't really know how the Jags are going to use him. All I know is he will be utilized. He was a first-round pick for a reason. He was super talented. I did a comparison video with him and Najee. Though I did think Najee was better. I thought Etienne was really, really good as well. So let's see how the Jaguars use him. Obviously, he's got that chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. And he also said if any season was good to miss, it was the previous one for the Jaguars. So let's see him. Hopefully they can, build on this. And he's going to be a good 1-2 punch with James Robinson. So I guess that's going to round out my entire running back list. I'm going to make maybe a couple changes. I'm going to move Lenny up in that A tier. I'm going to move Saquon and Cordero at the heart of B tier. I think people will get a little bit angry at Cordero being at B, but I'm okay with it. And yeah, these unknown guys, again, it's not saying they're bad. It's just I don't know how they will be in their new role, or I just haven't seen enough of them yet. So that's kind of why I put these guys in unknown. But I'm happy with the rest of the list. I think those six should be your top 6 running backs, and then the rest, those A tier guys, are really, really good, on the cusp of being better. David Montgomery is going to go at the end here. But yeah, I think I'm really happy with this list. Let me know what you guys think. I'm glad I could update it from last year. But yeah, again, give me some questions or, maybe a next positional group to do. Just let me know in the comments below. I will respond to all of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Anish from the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast, and we will see you guys next time.